What's going on, guys? This is Almost Expert Wrestling. We're coming back with our first countdown video in a long time. And this one, we're going to do a couple of these, and this one is about the top 10 male superstars of WWE in 2017. We did this list Kyle and I, based this list on both in-ring talent as well as in-ring accomplishments, such as titles and significance throughout the year. So we're going to get started with this top 10 list. I'll kick this one off with number 10. This superstar debuted on the main roster in February of this year. I'm talking about Samoa Joe. The reason we put him on this list, despite not winning a title this year, he immediately made a big impact on the main roster, taking out Seth Rollins, injuring him, which, isn't, why he's on the list, but still, he made a big impact from the get-go, and he went on to have a title feud with Brock Lesnar. They faced off at Great Balls of Fire. He eventually also got a title match in that Fatal 4-Way at SummerSlam for the Universal title. And currently, it was at the end of 2017, so it counts. He started his feud with Roman Reigns in the Intercontinental title scene. And throughout the year in between that, despite being injured for a little bit, he just every week made an impact, put on solid matches, and that's why he made the cut at number 10. So take it away, Kyle, with number 9.
Right. I agree with Samoa Joe. Just to add to that, I really feel like he was a top-notch main eventer this year, and he still is. He's involved in a big Intercontinental Championship feud with Roman Reigns. Like you said, Seth Rollins, even Dean Ambrose, he took out, and then Brock Lesnar. And I think we can view Samoa Joe as a candidate to win the Royal Rumble. I really do. Be interesting to see him maybe go one-on-one with Lesnar, even move to SmackDown against AJ Styles. Some people don't talk about Samoa Joe Styles is the most money match with AJ Styles. I think Samoa Joe AJ Styles is better than Shinsuke and Styles. That's just my opinion. All right, but I'll move on with my number 9. This was somebody that me and Joe actually, along with Samoa Joe, we argued to be on the list. We had 4 candidates, and the second man made the cut, and that was Randy Orton. Randy Orton, he's in here every year. Seems like, the WWE champion for a few months. He won the Royal Rumble way back when. He feuded with Bray Wyatt, of course, for the longest time. He had a feud with Jinder Mahal for the longest time. And, he was a main eventer this year. He, as always, he really kind of died down a little bit towards the end of the year. He lost the WWE title, had the feud with Jinder, then just kind of he fell off a little bit. But, he worked as a face all year again. But I really expect 2018 to be a heel year, possibly, to turn him heel. I don't know. I know he's going to be, in the coming years, working a laid-back schedule. But to still be even considered for the top 10 this late in a career is impressive to me. And he's full-time. This is a full-time performer. He's not Brock Lesnar. He's not John Cena. He's out there every week, typically, main eventing. Yeah, people say it won't stale, but, if you ask one of the guys in the locker room who they want to go with, to learn, it's Orton. I think that was a great first feud for Mahal. I think that was a great first feud for, nobody. Bray Wyatt even. That was Bray Wyatt's first WWE Championship feud was with Orton, even though, Bray Wyatt, he got the belt taken off of him by Orton. But still, I think that was a good learning experience for everybody if you feud with Orton. But Orton had a good 2017, and number 9 on the list, I think he's good enough for that, beating out a couple guys that couldn't get into the top 10. So, do you have any more thoughts on Orton, Joe, or you can go ahead with number 8?
I don't really have any more thoughts. You, as we always say, hit the nail right on the head with everything, so I'm just going to move right on and not repeat everything that you just said like I normally do. So number 8, this superstar returned this past year. It was I cannot remember off the top of my head. It was either February or March of last year. He signed back with the company. This was Jinder Mahal, who started off with returning as this, who returned looking way more jacked than he did back in the 3MB days. And he didn't really make an impact right away. He was just kind of on Raw every now and then where he started. And then his career kind of picked up after the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal at WrestleMania. He was the last one to be thrown out. Of course, Mojo Rawley won that one. And after that, his role really got more significant. He suddenly found himself in the summer in a number one contenders match for the WWE title. Surprisingly won, and then shockingly won at, was it Backlash?
Backlash, yep.
Yep, Backlash against Orton, right?
Randy Orton, yep.
Yep, and took the title off of him. And then went on to have a long reign that only ended in November on an episode of SmackDown Live from England to AJ Styles. But throughout that whole time, despite whether or not you are a fan of Jinder Mahal and think that he should have been champion or shouldn't have been, there's no doubt that he made an impact throughout the year. He got the heel heat every night, whether it was because A, fans didn't want him as champ, or B, he was doing a great job being a heel in general. So that's why he makes the list here. I originally had him higher when Kyle and I compared our own personal lists. But either way, he's deserving of being in the top 10 regardless. And Kyle, do you have any more thoughts? If not, move on to 7.
I look at this list as, if you make this list the second half of 2017 list, Jinder Mahal is a top 5 guy. I mean, what he did from May to November was, he was outstanding. He was one of the best heels on the roster. He really proved himself later into the year. But I just look at his inactivity through January to April. I mean, 4 months not doing anything. That's why I had put him 9. Joe put him, I believe, 4. So we ended up kind of evening it out to 8. I mean, I know that's a little bit low, but we have to include the other guys in here. But yeah, Jinder, I like him. He was the WWE champion for a long time. I mean, I hope that he has a good reign as United States champion. I mean, that's a perfect scenario for him now to kind of step back but still be in the picture. I just don't feel like he should have been WWE champion and then dropped off the face of the earth. So it's good that Jinder is still going to be involved in SmackDown. All right, we're going to move right on here, and we're down to number 7 now. And this was a little bit of a controversial pick for Joe. I mean, he had him lower than I had him. I had him in the top 5. Joe had him outside the top 5. So he ends up number 7, and that is the current WWE Universal Champion, Brock Lesnar. Yeah, I mean, people say Brock shouldn't even be in the top 10. I don't even think Brock was included in some top 10 lists of many people's list on YouTube and all, but we put him in here. He was the Universal Champion for the majority of the year, from April until present. I look at here, he had notable feuds with, of course, Samoa Joe, which we said a little bit earlier, Braun Strowman, we'll mention him a little bit later, Goldberg, and Kane. I don't know if Kane, he's feuding with Kane now. And every match that he had was good. He had the match at WrestleMania where he beat Goldberg for the championship. He had a good match with Samoa Joe at Great Balls of Fire. He had a good match with Braun Strowman at No Mercy. Then, of course, the fatal 4-way at SummerSlam, which I believe included Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman, and Samoa Joe, which was really one of the better SummerSlam matches we saw this year. And, of course, the match that I really think goes unnoticed was his most recent encounter at Survivor Series against AJ Styles. He really worked well with AJ. But for Brock, I mean, it's clear that he's not going to be full-time anytime soon. We know that. He's not going to be there every week on Monday Night Raw. He's not going to be wrestling matches on Raw. I don't think he's wrestled a match on Raw in 15 years. It's just the way his schedule works. And I mean, Brock, he has all the potential to be one of the best superstars in the business. I don't think he wants to be, personally. I think he's okay with just rolling around as champion and just having his big-time fights. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing him at WrestleMania this year. I hope that he's able to go against somebody okay. I mean, I hope it's not Reigns. I'm just going to put that out there. But, yeah, his 2017 definitely deserves a top 10 consideration, no matter where he is. I mean, he was the Universal Champion for 8 months. You know, that there. I mean, if you're the champion for 8 months, you deserve to be in the top 10. That's the way I look at it. Brock Lesnar, number 7. You know, you can move on to number 6. We can talk some more about the Beast.
Nope. I have nothing more to say about the Beast, who is never there, which is one of the main reasons. I understand, based on what you said, why one would think he should be in the top 10 because he was the champion, like you said, for 8 months. And yeah, that's cool. The reason I had him low originally was because of his schedule. I'm just not a fan. I've been a fan. Alright, I'm just going to move on to number 6. This superstar really had an interesting year, and I'm talking about Kevin Owens. He started out the year, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't remember how early on in the year he won it, but I know that he was U.S. champion for a while, and he had that whole new face of America thing going.
Well, he started out the year as Universal Champion, actually.
You are correct. That completely slipped my mind. I'm glad you... I knew there had to be something there. Yeah, I was missing something. Yeah, started as Universal Champion. Eventually lost to Bill Goldberg in a very, very bad match. Very quick match with Goldberg, and that's understandable. But he went on to, in the Superstar Shake-Up, move to SmackDown Live, where he then, as I said before, won the U.S. Championship, became the new face of America, wore his suit every week. It was, you know, he had a good run as U.S. champ and had a great title feud with AJ Styles. And all the entire time, pretty much since he was moved to SmackDown Live, has had a great feud with Commissioner Shane McMahon, and even had one of the best matches of the year with Shane McMahon at Hell in a Cell. He had that great title match, U.S. title match with AJ Styles at SummerSlam, with McMahon as ref. And, you know, of course, I mentioned before the Hell in a Cell match with Shane McMahon, which pretty much came from him having one of the most awesome moments of the year, in my opinion, when he took out Vince McMahon on SmackDown Live, which was just awesome, which set up that feud. And just the entire year, he has been significant in any role he's been in, and he's always been in a spot where, you know, whoever he's feuding with, whatever storyline he has, he makes it watchable. He makes it entertaining, whether it's a goofy storyline, or such as the one where I mentioned he takes out Vince McMahon and he's just this ruthless heel. He did a great job last year, and we'll see how his role is in this year, but last year he had a pretty great year, in my opinion. So, Kyle, bring it on with number 5.
Okay, yeah, and just to add to Owens, I agree with you 110%. I mean, somebody that just missed the top 5, and that's not due to his ability. That's just due to you know, all the great years some of these guys had. I mean, KO was one of the top superstars all year. I mean, involved in every major storyline. You know, I wrote on here multiple U.S. championship rings. I mean, he had about probably 3 or 4 And don't even forget about his program with Jericho. We can even add some, late 2016. What he did with Chris Jericho was very special, and that match at WrestleMania was very good for them. And I still remember the triple threat match on SmackDown when Jericho came back. I think that was one of the best TV matches of the year. But okay, we're gonna move on to the fifth. This was somebody that me and Joe moved up on this list. We had both had a number 7 on our list, but the way we did it all was he got moved up to number 5, and that is Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt, he enjoyed his first reign as WWE champion. He feuded with Matt Hardy, which he's feuding with now. That still has a lot of potential to be a strong rivalry. He had a feud with Seth Rollins and Finn Balor, both very brief. Then, of course, the aforementioned feud with Randy Orton. And, for Bray Wyatt, he really had an interesting year. But this was a coming out year for Bray. I mean, he finally got that first WWE Championship reign. He has been involved in some very, very good programs on Raw. I just look at his work with Finn Balor as being cut short. I mean, I remember they were supposed to be doing that real interesting matchup until Bray got sick and missed a lot of time. About a month. He's just a wrestler that we really want to put lower. You know what I mean? We don't want to put him in the top 5, but he deserves it. Just based on what he did on paper. I mean, he was involved in many major feuds, especially the Orton feud, which actually produced some of the worst matches of the year if you look at the House of Horrors match and, of course, the WrestleMania encounter. But the storytelling was a lot better. You ever have that feud where, they're telling a great story, but it's 2 wrestlers that don't exactly have the best chemistry. And I feel like their storytelling was fantastic. And Bray Wyatt, his 2018 year is going to continue to keep building. And this is somebody, once he gets done with Matt Hardy, or if he continues going with Matt Hardy, I mean, I really feel like Bray's going to keep going on the uptrend. I mean, we say this every year about Bray Wyatt. He's a top heel. He's a top heel. He's good in the ring. He doesn't wrestle often. Really, I mean, if you look at guys who get televised TV matches, televised TV, Bray Wyatt's on the top of the list at not getting it. He's not on there very often. He usually does the promos. I feel like his in-ring work could definitely use a bit of a improvement and more seasoning. So we'll see. But Bray Wyatt made the top 5, just barely. But he made it. Who's next?
Who's next? Number 4 on this list is one of the most hated superstars of this generation, and that is Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is a guy who, for the past few years, has always had a significant role since the days in the Shield, and ever since the Shield broke up those years ago, when I went to bed early, after that, he was the guy WWE looked at and said, this is our guy. He could be our guy, and eventually, he has become the guy. And this past year was a pretty big year for him. And just like with Jinder Mahal, it's one of those scenarios that he made this list, whether you like him or not, because of his significance. He puts on great matches, whether people want to admit it or not. He has been involved in some great matches this past year. And when it comes down to the championships, he started out the year with the United States Championship, and he eventually lost it to Jericho early on in the year. He then went on to have the match with The Undertaker at WrestleMania, which possibly ended The Undertaker's career. It's still unknown, and we should find out if Taker's competing this year. He's been in the spotlight the entire time in between title reigns. Obviously, with the Shield reuniting, it was a brief reuniting, but either way, he always finds himself in the spotlight, whether he's in a title feud or not. Just the thing with Reigns is the reason he's number 4. It's so simple that there's not really much to talk about. He's just simply been significant the entire year. And to cap it all off, I think one of the main reasons he made number 4 was because he was the star of the Jetsons and WWE present Robo WrestleMania, which is on DVD. So you should check that out. But that's why he's number 4. Do you have anything else to say about Roman Reigns? If not, send it on to number 3.
I agree. I think Roman is a perfect pick for number 4. I think what fans tend to, including myself, forget is that Roman actually has not been WWE champion or a world champion since WrestleMania. Like, that was his last win to become the champion. WrestleMania 32, ended up losing the championship in July, so like 2 or 3 months later to Rollins. We're looking at what, about a year and a half or so ago, and that's what's interesting. He's not a main eventer. He's always in the main event matches, but he's not the main champion. He's had his opportunities, but that's something that I like, But perfect pick for number 4. Let's get into the top 3, and we're going to go with somebody who just was there, was the main eventer on Raw. He was a heel to begin the year, actually for the majority of the year. He turned face a few months ago. That's Braun Strowman. Of course, the monster among men. I just look at him. What I wrote for him is he was a main eventer. He had feuds with Roman Reigns. Of course, that was the longest feud he had. I believe it was last year, or probably 2016, that he threw Roman off of the ledge in the stretcher that Roman was apparently on. That was a fun feud. That went from 2016 to 2017. Of course, Brock Lesnar, the aforementioned match with him at No Mercy. The Miz, which he came back and destroyed the Miz Taraj. The Shield, which I look at, he feuded all 3 members of the Shield at some point. And then, of course, Kane. But Strowman, he really came into his own this year. He proved that he was one of the top superstars on Monday Night Raw and in the whole company. He's an imposing big man that Vince McMahon likes to have him on the top of the world. And this is funny because me and Joe were talking about it previously. Samoa Joe was the only non-champion, and now he has company. Braun Strowman joins him. And, some people are going to say, oh, Braun Strowman shouldn't be, this high, but I just look at him. I think he had a better year than Bray. I think he had a better year than Roman, really. He didn't win any championships, but if you look at a guy who was just there, as a top main eventer, was consistently in the main event, was consistently, and I feel like he sells too. I feel like people see Braun Strowman on Monday Night Raw, they're going to turn it on. They like a guy like him. So yeah, Braun, he's number 3. So we got the top 2 left.
Oh, that's my cue. Next, number 2. Hopefully I won't be as goofy with this one as I was with Reigns. Number 2 was someone that Rolling Stone named as the top superstar of the year, and it's very arguable, but we decided our top 3 were the exact same with our personal lists, and this guy definitely should be number 1 or 2 in anybody's list, and that is The Miz. This guy has just been there. You said that with Braun, so I'm going to steal that line. He's been there the entire year. Obviously, late in the year, he filmed for a movie, but that's what he does. But either way, he had great runs as Intercontinental Champion. That's, for the past few years, been his championship. And like he says, he has made it very, very, very relevant. And because of him being there week after week on Raw, since the Superstar shakeup, and even before that, he was champ before that on SmackDown Live. But when he came over and eventually won the Intercontinental Championship, he's been the top guy, the top champion, that is, on Raw, with Lesnar being on the schedule he's on. And not only that, now we're not going to say The Miz has had, amazing 5-star matches. We're not going to say that by any means, but this guy's worked extremely hard all year and has been in, like I said, not 5-star matches, but he's been in from decent matches to good matches to great matches, and just the entire time he's been there and made the title relevant, been exciting feuds. He started out with Dean Ambrose, was pretty much the guy he was feuding with for the IC championship. And then eventually he gained a lot more momentum about the middle to the late year when he made the Miztourage, and which seemed silly at first, but really added some more heat to him, and just either way, he's had a big year, and without a doubt is definitely one of the best talkers in the business right now, and cuts promos excellently. I've been going on and on about Miz. My apologies. But he's definitely deserving of this number 2 spot, and that leaves us to one more spot. And Kyle will introduce that for you.
Yeah, I look at what you were saying about The Miz was, I think you also forgot something. His feud with John Cena. Remember early in the year?
Right.
That was also a big feud, because his promo work was fantastic in that. I remember all the skits.
Mm-hmm.
And then Maurice pretending to be Cena, Bella. I think that was awesome. But just Miz. This is really, I think that this is like a basic tie, no doubt. I think what this number one selection has is the WWE Championship reign, and he has more main events. If that makes sense. But I think The Miz is the best on the microphone. I think if this was based on the microphone and based on how well they represent the championship, Miz is number 1. But number 1, who is it, Joe? I think it should be Kane, but
yeah, it should be. I was already going to say that.
With the phenomenal, who else? AJ Styles. Who else could it be?
Kane.
Two-time WWE champion this year. I believe he was like a 2 or 3-time United States champion. Had fantastic work with Kevin Owens. Had fantastic work with Baron Corbin, Jinder Mahal, John Cena, just to name a few. And he did really everything that you expect. And no one superstar has had a better 2-year run than AJ Styles. The fact we're coming up on the 2-year anniversary of when he debuted in WWE, which is insane. In 2 years, he's won 2 WWE championships. 2 United States championships. Has had 5-star matches with John Cena and Kevin Owens. And I even look at his work with Roman Reigns last year. But this year, he got also a slow start. People were like, "Oh, he lost the WWE Championship, didn't win." But we'll talk about that match in another video. But match of the year, I'll just say right now, John Cena and AJ Styles at the Royal Rumble. But you look at that, and then you look, was very good in the Elimination Chamber, and he had a great match with Shane McMahon. I don't know what the deal with Shane McMahon great matches are, but he had a great match with Shane at WrestleMania, which I don't know if that's forgotten or not, but and then just after that, he had the big feud with Owens, and it seemed like he feuded with Owens for the majority of the year, really, and he worked so well as a heel early on, transitioned back into the face. Then it all culminated with a WWE Championship win last a couple months ago, November. And I feel like he's going to be WWE Champion for a very, very long time now. He's going to have great work. He's already involved in fantastic work, again with Kevin Owens and with Sami Zayn being added. And it'll be interesting to see who wins the Royal Rumble and faces him for the championship at Mania if it's a SmackDown superstar. But yeah, it's fun to see. I mean, AJ, he's doing everything that he should. And, you look at a guy who finally got the WWE, and they're not wasting his talent. He has been pushed to the max. He has done every single thing you expect out of him. I don't think AJ's had a bad match. I mean, he's worked as a heel. Well, he came up as a face, and he went to heel, now he's back a face, and I think that's awesome. I think that's awesome that he's already been a face twice. I think that's great. So, I mean, good for AJ. And he's number one. I mean, I really feel like The Miz deserves it. I wanted to make The Miz number one on my list. I don't know if that would have influenced Joe to make The Miz number one as well, but, I mean, Styles had 2 WWE Championship reigns in the year. I think that overgoes The Miz. But, yeah, what a list. So, I'll run down it real quick. Number 10, Samoa Joe. Number 9, Randy Orton. Number 8, Jinder Mahal. Number 7, WWE Universal Champion Brock Lesnar. Number 6, Kevin Owens. Number 5, Bray Wyatt. Number 4, WWE Intercontinental Champion Roman Reigns. Number 3, Braun Strowman. Number 2, The Miz. And then number 1, WWE Champion AJ Styles. And then a few notables that we did not include Seth Rollins, who just missed. I mean, he had a few months off, in the month due to an injury, like about a month early on. Did win a SmackDown. I mean, did win 2 Raw Tag Team Championships, but just was not involved in the main picture enough. Finn Balor, came back, didn't win a championship, wasn't really involved in main event feuds. Just missed. Shinsuke had an underwhelming run on the main roster so far. We hope that he's in the top 10 next year. He should be. And then Bobby Roode was another one. Debuted a little late. He should be in the top 10 next year as well, hopefully. So that was 4 that we didn't include. John Cena was another one. So that's
what
about
about
it.
Kane?
Kane, yes. Kane, he might be in the top 10 women wrestlers.
Yeah, we'll see.
Superstars. That, of course, is our top 10. And we also, I don't know if Joe mentioned at the beginning of the video, we did not include NXT roster call-ups. So, like, whatever Bobby Roode or Shinsuke or Samoa Joe or whoever, whatever they did in NXT was not influenced by this top 10 list. But we will be doing we'll be doing 2 more videos of this Best of 2017 series at least. Them videos will include our top matches of the year, pay-per-view matches. Joe will be doing his top 3, and I'll be doing my top 3. They will be different lists. We'll talk about that, and we will also be doing the top 10 women's superstars of the year on the main roster. And for the matches of the year, I think we're going to do both. We're also going to include NXT matches in that video. So not for the women's, but for the matches. So I've been rambling all a long time. I'm going to let the host finish this out, even though I basically did. Joe, we could add whatever. And we'll continue with this Best of 2007 series. I'm Kyle. This is Joe. See ya.